Hi.
You made it?
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, perfect.
Let me get on now. Okay, let's do that. Okay.
Kimmy, have you heard whether Lauren will be joining?
I believe she will be.
Okay, I'll give it one more minute before I call the meeting to order.
Sounds good. All right, here she is.
All right, good morning, everyone. I will call the December meeting of the Mineland Reclamation Board to order. Welcome, everyone. I was saying to Cammie before we started, I'm sad we don't get to have our holiday lunch today and catch up. It's been a long time, but maybe in the new year. Maybe in the new year. So first I want to start with the roll call of the board members. I believe everyone is here except Tim Mock. So Nell Wareham.
Here.
Yep.
All right. John Singletary.
Here.
Karen Utterbeck Norman.
Here.
Lauren Duncan.
I'm here, but I was muted. Good morning.
Like I'm looking directly at you. I know you don't realize that. And Forrest Luke.
I'm here.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So with that, let's move through the agenda. The first item is the approval of the November 2020 summary of minutes. Everyone's had a chance to review, entertain a motion.
I'd move
So
approval.
moved.
All right, Mr. Singletary has moved. Karen, will you second?
Yes. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. The minutes for November 2020 have been approved. Next up is approval of continuances and withdrawals. I believe we have one continuance. Do we have a motion regarding the continuance?
I move approval of the continuances.
I second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. That means number 5 on the agenda has been continued. Okay,
Number 7.
moving right along.
Jill, I just had a note on number
Yeah.
5, the spelling of Chaffee County. Shouldn't it be 2 F's in Chaffee?
You're right.
All right, we'll note that for the record and can get that cleaned up. Okay. So Executive Director's Office and Division Director reports. Since Mr. Mock is here, Jenny, I think we'll turn to you.
Okay. Good morning. Jenny Brandon, Division Director. A few things. Believe it or not, the litigation on Gold King is still going on. And our folks have been kind of dragged into the depositions. We're not a party to the suit anymore. New Mexico dropped their suit against the state of Colorado. Well, yeah, actually, the Supreme Court didn't grant cert. But so anyway, New Mexico's suing EPA, and in return, EPA is countersuing New Mexico, and it's more complicated than that. But basically, so there's a bunch of lawyers in the room and everything else, and everybody still finds Kirsten Brown and our folks on the West Slope team, Alan Sorensen, to be sort of an invaluable source of information. So we're not a party, but we are getting wrapped up in those depositions. So it's remarkable that that's still going on after all this time. And then, in terms of active mines, you are going to hear about rulemaking until you're blue in the face. Russ will be talking about it today in terms of the tentative timeline. And then you're going to be hearing about it every month coming into the rulemaking, and then of course the rulemaking itself. And whether that wraps up as soon as March or it extends out later, at this point we're just not sure. But stakeholder meetings have commenced and will be ongoing and extensive. So that's going on. And then at the Elk Creek, I don't know if you guys know this, but at the Elk Creek coal mine, which hasn't operated in a long time, they do methane capture. And through the Vessels project, Tom Vessels, they then sell that methane to Aspen Ski Company. And it's a great project. And so there's more methane to be had, but they're on parcels that are under our permit. So we're working with the operator to move those to final bond release soon, as soon as we possibly can, as in the next few months, if possible, because we don't want to hold up a methane capture project by any stretch of the imagination. So that's about it. I don't really have anything else. If there's any questions or comments.
Any questions for Dr. Brannon? All right, thank you. And one point of clarification, I had said item 5 was continued. It's actually item 7. I was looking at the wrong agenda. Okay, so we have no consent agenda. Let's move to item number 5, enforcement hearing for Dwayne Hall, file number M 2014-016. Turn it over to the division. I believe Mr. Zappala is on the, yep, there he is.
Dustin Zappala with the division. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. This hearing is for the Blue Rose site, permit number M 2014-016, located in Chaffee County and operated by Dwayne Hall. It's a 110 surface gemstone operation. The existing bond, $4,600, is adequate. This is an enforcement hearing for consideration of financial warranty forfeiture due to the operator's failure to submit the annual fee report and map. Following is a chronology for this matter. September 30, 2019, the annual report, map, and fee were due. No submittal was received. January 22nd, 2020, at hearing, the board found the operator in violation, revoked the permit, and found the financial warranty subject to forfeiture due to operator's failure to submit the annual report, map, and fee. Operator was not present at the hearing. March 5th, 2020, the board order was mailed to the operator. October 27, 2020, the division mailed notice of this hearing for possible forfeiture of financial warranty. To date, there's been no contact from the operator. Following are descriptions of the statutes violated. CRS 3432-116, parent 3, states that on the anniversary date of the permit each year, the operator shall submit a report and a map showing the extent of current disturbances to the affected land, reclamation accomplished to date and during the preceding year, new disturbances that are anticipated to occur during the upcoming year, and reclamation that will be performed during the upcoming year. CRS 34-32-116, parent 4, states that all operators shall submit, in addition to the report and map, an annual fee. The operator's history of violations has been limited to this issue, where violation MV 2020-001 was issued on January 22nd, 2020 for failure to submit the annual fee and report. So the following are staff's recommendations. Staff recommends the board find that the financial warranty for permit number M 2014-016 in the amount of $4,600 is forfeited, and direct the financial warrantor to immediately deliver the financial warranty to the board pursuant to CRS 34-32-118, parent 3, parent B. This concludes staff's presentation. Take any questions if there are any.
Any questions from Mr. Zappa or the division? And just to confirm, there's nobody here from the operator that would like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, okay. I'll close testimony. We can begin deliberations. Does anyone have a motion?
This is Lauren Duncan. I'll go ahead and make one. For permit number M-2014-016, I move that we find the financial warranty in the amount of $4,600 forfeited and direct the financial warrantor to immediately deliver the financial warranty to the board pursuant to CRS 34-32-118, parent 3, parent B.
There's a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you. The motion passes. All right, moving on to item number 6, which is entitled Other Friends Informational Briefing from Climax Molybdenum Company.
I just want to briefly note that, I recused myself from the Henderson presentation last month, but that this one being a purely informational presentation, I intend to stay on the call if that pleases everyone.
That makes sense to me.
Questionable.
Okay.
Great. All right, who's gonna go first on this?
I can introduce this real quickly.
Okay.
It's Dustin Zappa with the division. This hearing is for the Climax mine permit number M 1977-493, operated by Climax Molybdenum Company. Just to refresh board's memory, in 2006, the board approved Amendment 5. Approval of Amendment 5 increased the life of mine, allowing the operator additional time to complete reclamation, as well as modified mine plan, upgraded water treatment infrastructure. The condition of this approval required that every 5 years, Climax provide informational briefings to the board in order to update the board on the status of reclamation and mining at their Climax and Henderson mines. So now I'll pass over to Diana Keltz with Climax Mine.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Diana Keltz, and I'm the environmental manager at the Climax Mine. And I will let my colleague introduce himself as well.
Hello, Miguel Hamara, environmental manager for the Henderson mine.
Great. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We have a presentation for our update today. Can everyone see our slides?
Yep, we can see him.
So thank you very much, Dustin, for the explanation of why we're presenting here today. So as Dustin said, pursuant our Fifth Amendment to our reclamation permit, we are to provide this informational briefing every 5 years. The last presentation was in November of 2015. So what we're going to cover today is a little bit about the Climax Molybdenum Company, the current moly market update, a Climax mine status, and also a Henderson mine status. So for those of you who may not be familiar, Climax Molybdenum Company is a subsidiary of Freeport-McMoRan, Inc., based out of Phoenix, Arizona. So we are a U.S.-based natural resource company. We mostly focus on molybdenum, gold, copper, and other byproducts here in the state. In 2019, our copper production for Freeport was 3.2 billion pounds. So we are a diversified producer of molybdenum products. So we make several different types of concentrates that go to our customers, and they turn those into a variety of products on their end. We are the world's leading molybdenum producer. We have world-class ore bodies. So in 2019, our molybdenum sales were about 90 million pounds, and currently our recoverable, proven, and probable reserves are approximately 3.5 billion pounds. We are the world's leading molybdenum-based chemical producer, so we do produce a certain grade of molybdenum that is used in a variety of chemical products. And we have a long-term vision, and we have a commitment to our industry. So Climax has a long history in the moly market. So just a quick overview of our global operations. You can see we have our two primary mines here in Colorado at Climax and Henderson. We have our headquarters, as I mentioned, for Freeport-McMoRan here in Phoenix, Arizona. And we make byproduct molybdenum out of our Baghdad, Chino, Morenci, and Sarita operations. They primarily produce copper, but we produce molybdenum as a byproduct. Baghdad and Sarita both have processing plants. We have our main processing plant, which we send our concentrates here from Colorado, in Fort Madison, Iowa. And you can see we also make byproduct molybdenum out of our Cerro Verde mine in Peru. We have processing and sales facilities, as you can see, overseas all over the world. So just a little bit about what molybdenum is used for. Our main market is stainless steel and alloys. So it's lighter, stronger, more corrosive resistant with molybdenum. It is also a desulfurization catalyst that is used in the fuels refining operations. If you have a flat screen TV or a cell phone, you have molybdenum on the backside of that screen. It is used in a lot of electronics. It is used in the renewable energy market, oil and gas production exploration, lubricants. You may have heard of moly grease. Several different kinds of fertilizers, is used in medical imaging, and also in water treatment. So this graph shows moly prices over the last about 8 years. And as you can see, they've kind of been all over the place. We had some highs in 2012. We had our big downturn back in 15 and 16. And you can see our current prices are around $9 currently. Freeport-McMoRan is also a member of the International Council on Mining and Metals. And our CEO, Richard Ackerson, is currently the chairman of that organization. And ICMM has 10 sustainable development principles, which we all adhere to as a member of the organization. And we also report out key metrics as part of GRI, or their Global Reporting Initiative. And you can find that information in our Working Towards Sustainability report that we put out annually. Climax and Henderson meet regularly via our community partnership panel, which is comprised of stakeholders from 6 different counties in which we operate and where we have employees that are living. You can see in this graphic up here, in 2019, our global community investment was about $100 million. And you can see the breakdown of where those funds went into our communities. And we also have a community website where our local stakeholders and members of the community can go and get information about grants and those types of things. And we also have this website, if you haven't been there before, is an informational website about Climax and Molybdenum Company, and it has a lot of information around water quality that we maintain for our local stakeholders, mostly in Summit County. Each year, we have the Arizona State University produce an economic impact report for the company, our various operations. And you can see this is the information for Colorado and our impacts, our Colorado operations impact here in the state. And so in 2019, we employed about 828 employees. And you see that rippled down to about 3,003 jobs, additional jobs here in the state. And we had a direct impact of about $197 million. That's via compensation, taxes, and vendor purchases. Our direct impacts were around $211 million, and that was just spending from employees, revenues, pensions, those types of things. And so our total economic impact here in the state of Colorado was around $409 million for 2019. Another program that we participate in the state is abandoned mine reclamation. So we partner via agreements with the DRMS and also Trout Unlimited to complete abandoned mine reclamation around the state. So we fund work, and we work with Trout Unlimited and DRMS to select the sites. We try to focus on the reclamation, the abandoned mine sites, and on the different drainages that we operate. So like 10 Mile Basin, those types of things. So you can see, here's just some examples of some of the work that's been done over the years. We have the Rattler mine. You can see here there was a retaining wall that was put into place. At the London mine, there was some tailings reclamation that was completed. And then also the St. John mine here, you can see there was quite a bit of cleanup and removal of contaminated soils. So we partner on these types of projects all over the state that we work in. So I'm going to move into the Climax update. Does anybody have any questions on any of the information, the general company information, before I move on? No? Okay. So the Climax mine is located 13 miles north of Leadville, and we are off of Highway 91 at Fremont Pass at about 11,000 feet. So Climax has a long history in the area. So the first claims were staked in 1879 by Charles Center. At first, he had no idea what molybdenum was. He just knew he had metal, and he staked some claims. So he was a very intelligent man. Molybdenite was finally identified in 1895. And in 1918, Climax Molybdenum Company was formed. So there was other small mining operations going on in the area, and the company was formally formed in 1918. So during World War II, Climax supplied a large amount of molybdenum to the war effort for various ordinances and equipment needed during the war. And we actually we worked closely with the 10th Mountain Division at the time. We became the world's largest underground mine, and we, at one point, Climax employed around 3,000 people. And we had a town here at the mine site, and that was relocated to mostly to Leadville back in the late 50s, early 60s. Then that was the main reason for the move, was to convert to an open pit operation. And so that started in about the 1970s. The operation was shuttered from between around 1983 to about 2012 when we restarted. There was various fits and starts and other things that happened during that time frame. We have mined over 500 million tons here at Climax. We have produced over 2 billion pounds of molybdenum, and we celebrated our 100 years in 2018. In 2019, we reported that our reserves were 160 million metric tons at 0.15% molybdenum, but we also have 470 million pounds of recoverable moly still in the area. And as you can see, we're also ISO certified in quality, environmental, and safety. Here's just a snapshot of some of the mining equipment that we use. We use mostly hydraulic shovels here at the operation due to some of our conditions at this elevation. We have haul trucks with about 180-ton payload capacity. And then we also have 3 of these large loaders that we can use for various projects, but also for loading the haul trucks here at site. After the ore comes from the mine and is blasted and removed, it goes through our primary crushing facility and then goes into our milling operation. So it goes to a stockpile, and that stockpile is then fed into the mill via a series of conveyor belts. And this is our mill building. First the ore goes through a SAG mill, and then the oversize goes over here to the ball mill. And then it is fed into added water and reagents is added, and it goes into our flotation bank where it is aerated and the molybdenum sticks to the bubbles like a typical flotation process, overflows. We gather the concentrate, goes through a series of dryers, and then into bins. We pack out our material in large super sacks, and that's where it goes either to Fort Madison, Iowa, or over to our Rotterdam facility overseas. Sorry, I went a little too far. So a large part of our operation is water management. And as you can imagine, being in the Rocky Mountains on the Continental Divide, we get quite a bit of snow. We average about 275 inches of snowfall each year. Through that, in our 10-mile basin specifically, we treat 1,000 to 14,000 gallons per minute of water. 14,000 is usually during runoff. We also have a series of interceptors, which are basically ditches and pipes that run on the fringes of our mining operation, and they collect clean runoff as it comes off the mountains and diverts that around the operation, so we do not have to treat it. During peak, that can be around 100,000 gallons per minute coming through that system. Some of the other key components of our water management system are we have continual tracking. We have a series of flumes and flow meters. We also maintain a water balance, so we understand where we need to send our water, specifically around our water rights tracking. We have water storage on our tailings, our 3 different tailing storage facilities. And we also have a process pond called Robinson Lake that feeds our milling operation. So we treat all of our mine drainage. So we have the old underground we call 5 shaft. We pull water out of there. We also collect seepage from our tailings and from any runoff from our overburden stockpile facilities. We capture that and bring it into our water treatment system. That goes through stage 1 treatment first, which is our sludge densification plant, and that mainly removes iron and other heavy metals. From there, the water then can be sent to back to the tailings facility or back to our mill, or we can send it to second stage treatment, which is our property discharge water treatment plant, or PDWTP. And that water treatment plant mostly removes manganese and any other residual materials, and then that is released directly into 10 Mile Creek. So in our reclamation plan, our last annual report, we reported 7,900 acres of permitted land, and about 4,000 of that is currently disturbed. About 550 of that is fully reclaimed and bond released, but we have a remaining 795 acres where it's the reclamation is in progress. And you can see on our map here, the green areas are fully reclaimed, and then the yellow areas are areas that we've done some reclamation. We put some material down, but it's not full reclamation at this point. We also have a biosolids composting operation on site. So we receive biosolids from Summit and Chaffee counties from their water treatment plants, and we add wood chips and aerate it, and we turn that into compost. And we've had that operation on site for about 20 years, and we've used that for our various reclamation activities on site to date. And in the past, we have donated some of that compost to DRMS for some of the abandoned mine reclamation projects they've had in the local area, mostly in the Leadville area. We have also we received the DRMS Hard Rock Award for our channel restoration in Upper Arkansas. So this is the Upper Arkansas area. We used to have historic facilities here associated with the underground operation. Those facilities were demolished and the area was reclaimed, and we restored the Arkansas River back into its somewhat natural channel from the culvert pipe that it was in previously. And we also did quite a bit of work in 2014 when we commissioned our PUWTP. We've also reclaimed the Eagle Park Reservoir that used to be Ford Dam. It was a tailings facility that was cleaned out and is now a clean water reservoir that was sold to a consortium of folks, including the city of Aurora, Eagle Park Sanitation. Various companies own that reservoir now and use it for snowmaking. And then, of course, our biosolids composting. This is a recent project that we have been working on. So as we expanded our McNulty overburden stockpile, we are going to be impacting waters of the U.S. and wetlands. So as part of our 404 permit, we had to mitigate those impacts. And how we're doing that is we're constructing a wetland on our facility. So this is the original site, what we called Lake Irwin, which is on our Robinson Tailing Storage Facility. And it was just an area that collected water in the past. And we are using this area and slowly turning it into a constructed wetland. So you can see in 2020, this is our first phase that was completed in 2018. This is the planting as it was occurring in 2018, and this is how it looked in 2020. So this is about 9 acres of constructed wetland. When the complete project is done, because there's 2 more phases, it'll be about 30 acres of constructed wetland in the old Lake Irwin area. So currently, Climax is the best producing primary molybdenum resource available. We have about 320 employees. And the way Climax, the molybdenum company, operates Henderson and Climax is in a flexible manner, so we are to meet any shortfalls that are needed within the company based on our sales. And in response to the market conditions that in the downturn that occurred in early 2020, Climax has revisited its operating plan, and we have reduced our milling and mining rate, and we have moved to a 2-crew operation. So we're somewhere around 50% of our normal operating capacity currently at Climax based on conditions here in 2020. So that is all I had for Climax. I don't, does anybody have any questions before I let Miguel speak to Henderson?
Go ahead, Mr. Singletary.
Yep.
Just a curiosity, have you had any challenges with fins in your area like they do on Tennessee Pass? Association with fins?
We do have some fens. When I mentioned that McNulty project, there was some fens up on Little Bartlett Mountain that we purposely avoided when we designed that project. So we do have some fens, but we did not impact them as part of that project.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? I can't see you all, so just pipe up if you do.
Hey, this is Lauren Duncan. Just a question kind of related to operations and where you're going from here. You mentioned a downturn in 2020. Do you anticipate rejuvenation in the next couple of years? Do you see that coming your way? And then how do you anticipate the Climax operations changing in relation to Henderson's operations changing?
So to answer your first question, our current plan is to be in this operating mode for the next year, for 2021, with resumption of normal operations in 2020. Again, that's all based on market conditions. We'll see where we are at the end of next year. And if Henderson closes or there's some changes in operating, I'm sure we'll have to, the company as a whole will look at both operations and decide, what our production rates will be. So that's really hard to tell at this point, because it seems like things are in flux because, again, depending on prices, our mine plans can change quite quickly. So I really can't say where we think we may be going at this point. But I don't know, Miguel, if you want to add to that or anything.
No, I think that's pretty fair. It's so hard to tell year on year and depending on prices. But as we've seen, I guess, over the last several years, we really work within a global demand for moly and really kind of operate dependent on our byproduct mines, what they're producing, and then make up some of those differences with the Colorado operations for primary mines, and in addition to the chemical and industry that we primarily supply. So it's pretty dynamic and kind of global factors at play that dictate how much we're producing here and weighing that against all of our other byproduct mines at the same time.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
I think that might be it from the board.
Okay, I will hand it over to Miguel.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Dan, and hello, everybody. Again, for the second month here in a row, so good to see you again. I'll speak to just kind of the overall operations at the Henderson. It's located about 9 miles west of the small town of Empire, at the base of Bertha Pass, and kind of at the base of Jones Pass. And you can see that upper left photo is the mine site kind of in the upper right of that photo. You can see kind of in the middle of that photo is our subsidence, kind of the top of the red mountain there, and the subsidence area for the underground operations. And then on the whole left side, actually what's kind of in the foreground of that is a reclaimed mine called the Urad mine. That was in operations kind of early 1900s up until the early or late 1960s, early 1970s. That's now closed and reclaimed, and now just operating the Henderson mine there in that valley. The mill is located south of Parshall, kind of north of Silverthorne, and it's at the near the Ute Pass. And you can see in the lower right photo there the mill facilities, the mill building, kind of conveyor coming in the foreground, and then kind of in the right side you can see a little bit of the tailings impoundment. We'll show some more photos of that later. Next slide. So here's a little summary of the overall Henderson operations. I mentioned it is a fully underground mine. The ore body was discovered in 1964, development from there until 1976 when we started operations, and did a large modernization project in the late 90s, which we had a short line railroad that carried ore from underground through a tunnel to the mill side, and that was replaced with a conveyor system. And we moved the primary crusher from the mill down to underground as well as a part of that. Our reserves in 2019 are 67 million tons at 0.17% moly, and we have 220 million pounds of moly. And up to date, we've mined 280 million tons and of ore and have produced 1.2 billion pounds of molybdenum. Our operating area is around 12,800 acres. A little over 2,000 are on the mine side, and the remaining about over 10,000 are on the mill side of the property. The majority on the mill side is ranch land, and then about 4,000 acres are actually kind of in our disturbed affected land area. And similar to Climax, we have our environmental quality and safety certified programs. Schematic here of the underground operations. Maybe a little hard to tell. I won't go into too much detail unless you have questions, but you can essentially see kind of in the middle right side there, it says kind of exhausted, that kind of gray pebbly area is our cave area, where we're pretty much a caving operation. We break up the ore and kind of at the bottom of that area, and then we start pulling it out, and it slowly starts coming down and caving on top of our production areas. It's in a controlled manner, where we take out that ore, bring it down to our crusher area, and then we crush it, and you can see that kind of purple line going from like the bottom of the underground area to the left side. There is our conveyor tunnel, and that comes out over on the left side of the mountain there, the PC2, PC3 transfer station, and then over to the mill from there. The next slide, please. And just an example of some of the equipment in the underground workings. We have our loader in the upper left photo there. It's about a 10-yard capacity. And we operate those at different areas in our production drifts. And then on the lower right, you can see one of our haul trucks, and that's about an 80,000 ton capacity haul truck, and it's dumping into the crusher in our underground area there, which then goes on to the conveyors and over to the mill. Next slide. It's pretty similar, kind of the flotation process to Climax. You can see our conveyor, our surface conveyor in the upper left photo. So we have about a 10-mile long conveyor from underground to the portal at the mill side, and then another 5 miles on the surface over to the actual mill facility. And so those are about total 15 miles. And then you can see in the upper right, that's one of our SAG mills, one of 4 SAG mills that we have. And then the lower right photo there is our flotation process, and very similar, basically the same as the process that Diana described for Climax. Next slide. Here's a photo, a couple different angles of our tailing facility. A big part of that is the water management and dust control, kind of on a day-to-day basis, and then just the operation of the deposition of the tailings from the mill site. This right now is full containment, so there's no, at the mill site, there's no discharge of water. It's fully recirculated and is a zero discharge facility at the moment. I think my light just went off. Hold on, let me see if I can. Hold on. Okay, I wasn't moving enough, sorry. So you can see about same 280 million tons of tailings deposited in the facility there, and about average slurry flows of 10,000 gallons per minute with 30 to 40% solids. The total size of the facility at full build out will be about 1,500 acres, and the dam height at 230 feet. Next slide. Okay, and then just kind of the status currently of Henderson. We produced about 12 million pounds of molybdenum in 2019. We're at a fairly low production rate, probably about a third of our total capacity right now. We have a life of mine through 2038, currently at an average production rate of 10 million pounds of molybdenum per year. And we are at the mill side, we are currently designing a water treatment plant to use during operations. So I mentioned that we're currently a zero discharge facility. So within the coming years, we'll be looking to change that and start a discharge, treatment and discharge on the mill to just manage our water balance and increase the safety, reduce any risks around our stability of the tailing impoundment. And let's see, and we're currently employed about 400 people right now. Also, similar to Climax, we are at a 2-crew operation as well. Okay, next. So as far as closure planning, I mentioned our life of mine is 2038 right now. The nice thing about Henderson is there was a lot of thought went in during the initial development of the mine around the total life cycle, including closure. So it was constructed in a manner to allow for closure and reclamation at the end. And we have currently our closure costs are $171 million, our closure cost estimate. And so the primary components of closure are, as you might expect, is really around water management and water treatment leading up to and during and after reclamation and closure. Trying to minimize those ongoing care and maintenance costs and needs into the future. So it's a little more of a standalone or a type of facility once we do close. We do have to manage, we have a kind of large water rights portfolio that we need to manage and looking into the post-closure mine land use, in addition to just the kind of open forest, looking for other opportunities, and I'll go into those in a minute as far as industrial and commercial opportunities. And then I will talk a little bit more about that here with our collaboration with the Colorado School of Mines as part of the Henderson Sustainability Challenge. So next slide here. So this is a pretty fun, interesting project over the last couple of years. We haven't continued this year just due to the pandemic issues, but in the 2 years prior, we had a sustainability challenge with the Colorado School of Mines. And I'll read the concept statement here for you and then go into a little more detail, but it's to develop a concept for the sustainable repurposing of the Henderson mine and mill facilities and land holdings that provides a socioeconomic benefit to the surrounding communities, is economically sustainable, socially acceptable, and provides a positive and lasting legacy in the state of Colorado. So really the students were invited from across the campus and at every different kind of discipline and grad and undergrad students to participate in this challenge. We had about $50,000 in awards being offered, and it lasted during the semester long process. And we start out with an initial kind of initial round of competition where the students gather up, we provide information, and in just one day they come up with their initial concepts and presentations within their teams. And then we narrow that down to the top around 10 teams or so. And we go through an additional 2 rounds of competition down to second round down to 5 teams, and then have the final round at the end where the awards are presented. A lot of collaboration with the communities. We had community judges The students were interacting through their professors and through us to ask and work with the different communities to understand what their needs and interests are and what projects might be viable. So really multidisciplinary project, and really allowed the students to expand and grow and be very creative, and gave us a lot of amazing, great ideas that we had never thought of for post-closure land use of both the mine and the mill facilities. Next slide.
Hey, Miguel, I just want to let you know my computer is forcing me to restart in like 5 minutes. So I'll probably be able to stay in the audio, but I might lose the presentation.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone.
This is the last slide, so I think it'll be perfect. So here's a couple pictures of the finalists in 2018 and 2019, the first prize winners. And you can see up at the top the finalists. The Mode Data was the winner in 2018 with the Tech Campus and a Data Center at the Henderson Mine Surface Facilities. And you can see some of the other finalists there: Engine and Automotive Testing, Composting Mushroom Farm, Pumpback Hydro, and Education Campus. Were the top ideas there. And then in 2019, we did the challenge for the Henderson Mill facilities, and the top first place prize went to the tailings to glass for upcycling mine tailings into valuable kind of construction glass products. And some of the other finalists were around organic shrimp and hydroponic agriculture, hemp farm and CBD oil production facility, and then e-waste and battery recycling facilities. So pretty exciting. And we were going to do the underground challenge for the mine underground facilities this year, and we'll see if maybe we'll do that next year or the following year as we proceed. And as we get these ideas, we are furthering them into more business plans and working to develop them into an actual post-closure land use and business post-mining. And I think that's all I have. So any questions for me on Henderson?
Yes, this is Karen Utterback, Norman. On that sulfide flotation system, what happens, that's a fairly toxic medium that's being used there. How is that disposed of? Or is it just continually reused and reused and reused?
So actually, when we say sulfide flotation, it's not that we're adding like a sulfuric type of product or sulfur into it's just that the moly comes from the ore in a molybdenum disulfide. And so all we're doing is actually just floating the natural mineral from the gang materials which go out as tailings. So really not so toxic. Maybe that's unless you're thinking of something different as far as the reagents we're using, but really the process is really, and the solutions are I think fairly low in their toxicity. And then as far as disposal, really the waste material is just the tailings, which is the ground ore that's left over after we float the concentrate out, and then we deposit that into the tailing disposal facilities.
Do you need to change that, the liquid solution on a regular basis, or keep adding to it?
So we recirculate all of our process water. As I mentioned, it's a closed loop system, at least for Henderson. And so that keeps going around and around in circles until essentially it's exhausted. And then the snowfall that falls into, and the rain that falls onto our process areas, like our tailing impoundment, that then replenishes that water and to use again into the process. And then we add a certain dosage of our reagents that we need for the flotation process to occur.
But is that a liquid solution allowed to leach into the ground? I would imagine not, but how is it disposed of?
So there's really no disposal because it's a very dilute kind of solution. Most of the reagents would kind of go out into the concentrate because they're oil based that kind of bind the concentrate, and that's the purpose. And then really all of that is recirculated back into the process, and then so there's no actual disposal of any of those solutions.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, this is John Singletary. Can I ask again? I think it was Diana, and I think you called it the Eagle Reservoir. Can you kind of enlarge on what you were talking about? I think you mentioned that it was utilized for snowmaking in Aurora. What does all that mean? And what does Aurora get out? And what size is it?
I don't know the size of the reservoir offhand, but it used to be a tailings storage facility. We removed all of the tailings and disposed of those on the existing tailing impoundments. And then we sold the property to Eagle Park Reservoir Company, which is a consortium of different companies. So I think that's Vail, the City of Aurora, Eagle Sanitation. And basically what they do is it's a clean water reservoir, and they will release water from that reservoir to make up for snowmaking, for water they're pulling out of the Eagle River. So it's basically augmentation.
But with Aurora, they don't do snowmaking. Does that just go into the South Platte stream flow, or what's their utility of the reservoir with regard to Aurora?
I think we lose Diana.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Her computer finally shut down on her.
Oh, no, yeah. I don't know the for sure answer, but generally when a city like Aurora, they would use it for municipal purposes. However, their water rights portfolio is probably such that they bought into a portion of the Eagle Reservoir, and so that they use water perhaps that's coming from the western slope through one of the tunnels via a different area, and then they're able to make up some of that water to, say, trade it in a way or with one of the other users like Vail that needed more water on the western slope, and Aurora had the water rights. So it probably a little complicated in that respect, but in the end, Aurora would use their water for their purposes on the municipal side, but then just tapping out of the Eagle Reservoir and replenishing water that others are using there.
Okay, you just don't have an idea about what size it is and how many acre feet are in it.
I'm gonna guess around that 2,000, just from visually seeing it, at probably a little less than that 2,000 acre feet capacity. So not a huge reservoir by any means.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, sorry.
Hi, John. This is Dustin with the division.
Yeah.
The Eagle Park Reservoir, it covers about 70 acres. I don't know the acre feet offhand, but surface area is about 70 acres.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, I'm just trying to visualize it. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Just to comment as far as it was a very good presentation. Appreciated that.
Great.
Thank you, Forrest. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Appreciate the very thorough presentation, and I feel like I learned a lot.
We appreciate the opportunity to at least every 5 years to kind of get in front of you and show some of the things we're doing and answer questions and everything. I think it's a great opportunity just so you have a little more familiarity if you don't have a chance at times to come out and see the sites to see what's going on with the moly operations in Colorado. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we will move on to the next item on the agenda. So that is number 8, the discussion item, Hard Rock Rulemaking 3432-101, the monthly update from Mr. Means and Mr. Fugate.
Good morning, board. This morning and stuff, as Ginny alluded to and stuff, you will be bombarded with rulemaking and stuff for the next 3 to 6 months. So this is just an update. In November, we announced that we were starting reinitiating the process and stuff to go into rulemaking again. Shortly after we announced that at the board meeting, we were in contact with 2 of the primary stakeholders, and they both expressed some concerns about how ambitious our schedule was, and also the fact that the board would have a first crack at the red lines as opposed to the stakeholders themselves. So we took that under quick consideration, and that's why I sent you that memo the week afterwards, noting those issues and that why you didn't get a copy of the red lines like we had talked about in November. And also we looked at our schedule and adjusted it accordingly. So one of the things and stuff that we did is on December 11th, the red line version went to 2 of our primary stakeholders, which was last Friday. And then on Tuesday, we sent out a notice to all of the Hard Rock operators and other stakeholders that we're aware of in regards to this. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully here. And that, I think everybody can see that. Can you see the division's website? So, can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, all right. So what we did in that is we, after consultations and stuff, and reworking our schedule and stuff, we put together a schedule for rulemaking. What we did is we originally had anticipated bringing this before the board in February. We pushed it out to March, and so that that gave us actually another 38 days, the way the board meetings and stuff fall into place. So we're on right now and stuff. The red line versions and stuff went out to all of the stakeholders, and it also has a reference and stuff to our website where they can go take a look at House Bill 191113. They can look at the proposed red lines and have a copy of the current rules. And they also have the opportunity and stuff to submit comments and stuff electronically if they wish. And more, one of the other things and stuff, and part of transparency is all the comments and stuff that are submitted will be put into on a link and stuff here, so that you, so anybody can go in and take a look and see what all the stakeholders are having discussions and formal comments and stuff on. So one of the things and stuff that we're going to do in January is start the informal process. What we've done is we've scheduled 2 primary large group meetings, one on January 7th and the other one on January 26th. And in between there, we are planning on having smaller stakeholder meetings, more one-on-one meetings with individual stakeholders, or so that there's an opportunity there to discuss concerns, issues, possible language and stuff in a more personal manner and stuff than in a big, larger crowd and stuff where there it's going to be a lot of different conversations and stuff going on at the same time. So with that in mind, we're hoping that January is going to be a busy month and stuff for the informal process. Currently, we're looking at by mid-February going into the formal process, where we will be having the Secretary of State publish and start that. But we want to make sure that everybody understands the stuff that this schedule is tentative. So if we get to the end of January and the stakeholders and stuff and the division take a evaluate where we're at, and we don't think that we're close and stuff to start the formal process, then what we will do and stuff is we will kick that out and provide more meeting times and more additional time, which means that the formal process and the promulgation of rules and stuff will have to roll onto April, May, or even June. We'll just have to play that by ear. But I think the most important thing is that we are flexible. We're trying to get things rolling and get some momentum and stuff to get this done. We were 3 or 4 months into this when we got hit with all of our COVID issues and that. So we're kind of picking up where we left off in at the end of February or March of last year. So we're hoping and stuff that we can stay on schedule, but at the same time, we are flexible and stuff with our schedule to make sure that we're all the stakeholders and stuff feel that there's ample time. We want to do this right. We're not necessarily wanting to do this in a hurry, so that's the most important thing. Jeff, do you have anything and stuff that you want to add in?
No, I think you covered everything just fine, so I've got nothing to add.
Okay, well, and I think the most important thing is that everything is electronic. So all of these stakeholders and stuff can go to our website. We'll update this schedule and stuff accordingly. And of course, the stuff in January's meetings in February, we'll be letting you know how these shift if they need to and stuff so that you're up to date on what we're doing. So, and that's just about all I got. Is there any questions?
Any questions on the rulemaking?
Yeah, this is Lauren Duncan. Just checking in that there's, and I apologize if you said it and I missed it, if there's any ask at this time from the board or anything we need to be working on now to set you up well for the future.
Currently, I think the stakeholders have expressed an interest and stuff in having conversations and stuff and that. We don't, one of the issues and stuff that came up is the idea and stuff that if you guys looked at this up front and that there'd be a predisposed opinion and stuff on some of the issues that we're discussing. So right now, I don't think there's anything from the board. What we're hoping to do is if we have some changes, some proposed language and stuff and that we've through our sausage making, if you will, in January. At that time, I think that's when we'll get you a red line version so that you can take a look at it. One of the concerns that Jeff and I had was that if we sent you a red line version and then coming out of the other end of this process and stuff, you had something totally different, you all might have notes and started making some of your own observations and stuff and that, and it may not even be the same language or even close to it and stuff and that by the time we're done. So it's just better for all of us, I think, and stuff to wait until we get down that road a little bit farther so that you guys don't end up having to spend a lot of time on something that's not going to be close to the finished product.
Sure. Thank you. Appreciate the update.
And I appreciate that we don't want to have to look at something and have it change. When we can see it though, I would appreciate as much advance notice as possible to have a chance to review it and comment on it, think about it. You know, we look at these regulations almost monthly. We have a strong background with them and we won't be predisposed, I think, to a certain outcome, but as board members, we do have opinions and thoughts about some things too. So love to be able to share those.
The red line version is available on the website, so it's open to the general public.
Okay, includes us. Perfect. Perfect. I'll take a look.
All right. With that, if there's no other questions and stuff, we're done. So.
Okay. That brings us to item number 9, public comment. Is there anyone from the public here that would like to address the board?
There is Jill. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name's Paul Salagi. I'm with Nuvemco LLC, permit holder, times a few, but I wanted to make a few brief comments, and they're mostly related to the rulemaking.
Okay.
Please rest assured that I will not ruin this meeting by coming up with my own definition of production today. I think you've heard quite enough, and there's quite a bit of time to do that, but I did want to make just a couple of comments. I wanted to thank the RMS and the MLRB for all the effort I know they put into this and will continue to put into this. I've listened in the past few board meetings that you've had, and I've listened also and engaged with the RMS, and I know that you're aware of the issues that are out there. I agree with you when you characterize them as complex and as contentious. And I fully understand and, commit to you to do the very best that I can to get you added data and framework for your analysis. I will tell you, I was someone who was personally concerned about maybe going to the board first. I didn't want your thoughts and conclusions to be, I guess I called it like pouring cement. I wanted the process to have a chance to go forward first. I will tell you that I would prefer to have this group render a decision on the rules while you're still constituted as a board because of all the experience you have with this issue. I suspect that's not possible. But I think the nature of the issues and the breadth of the issues and the depth of the issues, whether you're talking about what's it take to do boots on the ground, what happened with our permitting scheme, particularly in 2009 when we had to go to DMOs, going back to what minerals we're talking about and why they're critical to Colorado and to our country, the entirety of the legal analysis, whether you're talking about the text, the history, the precedent, how it all works together, and whether you're talking about when you come up with a determination that's just, especially for the people in some of these economically depressed regions of Colorado. But I had a whole presentation. Russ Means convinced me this was not the time to present it. I think he just wanted to see it first. So, but I did want to share this with you. As you go through this rulemaking, there was a famous legal case that introduced the concept of the risk perceived defines the duty to be obeyed, New York Court of Appeals case. And in this case, I will tell you that if the definitions are played with, the risk is someone who has otherwise complied with all aspects of Colorado statutory and regulatory law could be forced into its permits being terminated based on how all the acts and laws and judicial rulings would get pulled together. So the risk is large. I'm confident that this board, has the wisdom to make sure that it meets the dual cornerstones of promoting mining and protecting the environment. I look forward to working with you on that. And I just wanted to wish everyone a very happy holiday season, hence the red sweater, and a very nice 2021. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Are there any questions from the board?
Thank you for the time.
All right, thank you. And we do appreciate you weighing in here and participating, I'm assuming, in the stakeholder process and going through that. And yeah, we look forward to this rulemaking, and what the makeup of the board will be at that time, we'll see depending on the timing, but I'm confident they'll do a very thorough job.
Me too. Just happen to like this board.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And the last item on the agenda is the executive session. Chuck, can you confirm? I don't think we have anything we need to go into executive session for today.
Yeah, I don't think we need anything.
Okay. All right, then that is it. Thank you, everyone. And the December meeting is adjourned. We'll see you 2021.
Next year. Merry Christmas, you guys. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas all.
Everybody, happy
Happy New Year.
holidays.
Thanks all.